Hello, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to the Stellar Live Show. It's a good place to say Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us so far in the past classes that we've had. I think last year we had 12 classes, and we spoke a lot about leadership, branding, evaluation, and planning. It was an awesome time. I think it was one of my best quarter last year, 2023. I like the way the year ended because it gave me the opportunity to reflect on a lot of things and also sharing with each and every one of us what I would typically also practice myself. And, having a lot of people around attend these classes sort of holds you to a level of accountability. And when we're going to step into this year, I was thinking, what would our first class be about? And, something came to my mind, and it was Preplay the Future. And what Preplay the Future meant to me was scenario planning. So during the course of the year, we had a class on planning where we talked about how to plan your life, how you evaluate, and then, look for things that you can tweak, saying, what do I need to start doing? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to continue doing? Now that you've done all of these things, the truth is that life happens. Things that we do not plan would typically happen. For example, in the year 2020, towards the end of 2019, no one envisaged or ever thought that there'll be something called COVID-19 that drastically changed the world of work and everything that we did. No one knew that we could be indoor for a very long period. People didn't foresee that they were going to lose their jobs. Fast forward, we have the Russia-Ukraine war that started as a joke, and now it's coming close to 2 years. No one ever saw that coming. Also, the war with Israel and Hamas. I'm not sure anybody, started the day and say, I know that something of this nature is going to happen. Same thing as I trust that each and every one of us here are believers. We also know that there are some things that we do not foresee, but and it just happens, and it looks like it takes you by surprise, and you cannot say God is not faithful. The good thing is that for us as believers, you know that God will not give you a temptation that you cannot handle. But one of the ways that you can do this is to have strategic foresight, and this is where scenario planning comes into place. You want to look at why something is happening, or how it is happening, or what exactly do you foresee that is going to happen. And the truth is, scenario planning is a term that has been used majorly in the business world. I've actually never really seen anybody intentionally sit down and say, I want to do a scenario planning for myself. There was first time I did a scenario planning for myself was in 2020. And then I thought about it again this year that if I wanted to actually more results, I want to, cover more mileage, then I really, really need to plan certain scenarios on how I can growth hack, or how I can hack my growth, gain quantum leaps, and grow in geometric progression, right? And I believe that that is why you're here as well. And I do hope that your expectations will be met. If you do have any questions, you can drop them in the chat box. I would be happy to answer. So I want to welcome you to class again. Thank you for joining the very first class of the year 2024. This will be a great year for each and every one of us. It's a leap year, so we're going to be making giant strides. So thank you everyone for joining once more. I recognize all of you. Thank you. For those who will be watching afterwards, I do hope that this class blesses you as much as it does to me. So opening remarks, something that I saw from Warren Buffett, and a quote that I saw somewhere says that planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it now. And this is typically simple because you tell yourself, oh, I plan to become an accountant. And then, to become an accountant, you need to go through the ICANN syllabus. You need to pass all of your exams, and all things being equal, if you do not fail any subject in 3 years, 2.5 years, you should become an accountant. So you are foreseeing the future, and you begin to create steps, presets, line upon line that you have to take and follow in order for you to achieve the goal of becoming an accountant. And it's not just about being an accountant, it comes with anything as well. If you say, oh, I also want to get married, there's certain things that you need to do, some positioning that you need to do, some learnings that you need to do. It's just the same with going for an interview, you want a particular job, you want to get scholarship, you want to travel abroad. It's a future activity, but the activities that you begin to take from now is what will lead to the successful achievement of that future that you have planned. And I want you to also see that the future is not something that is far, it's not something that is distant, because today was the tomorrow that you spoke about yesterday. So now today you're talking about Monday. When Monday comes, you see that the future is just, always some minutes away, some moments away. So it's not like it's so far. So don't start saying, oh, the future is so far. Because the truth is we always underestimate what we can do in 5 years and then overestimate what we can do in 1 year. Sometimes when I look at the goals that some people or plans that some people share with me, they want to do a lot in 1 year. And I'm like, you can actually break this thing down in 5 years. You think 5 years is far? My friends and I met at a wedding and we were reflecting on how we graduated 7 years ago. And it looks like yesterday, but it's 7 years already. And there's a lot that has happened in 7 years for people that were intentional about their lives and about their timing. So there's really no little time. So don't waste your time. Like Apostle Joseph Selman would say that time is a unit of destiny. So you do not want to waste your time. And Warren Buffett also says that in the business world, the rear view mirror is always clearer than the windscreen. And this is very true because when you're in the business world and you want to plan, you always look at what you have done in the previous year to make a forecast of what you're going to do going forward, right? So next is this very, very interesting picture that I saw. Um, during the COVID period, we heard a lot of people saying, oh, we now live in a VUCA world, we live in a VUCA world. And all we've always known is VUCA, VUCA, VUCA. VUCA, which stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And this is always used in the business fair because when you're planning, you're doing your yearly plan or towards the end of the year when you're doing budget for the forecast for the new year, they would always say, oh, you have to take note of volatilities that can happen, uncertain things that can happen, some complexities and some ambiguities. So for example, you know that the Russia and Ukraine war has affected a lot of things, particularly grain prices, wheat prices, and energy costs, because none of us even really knew what Ukraine was contributing to the world until the crisis started. And then that's when we knew that most of the wheat was even coming from them. We saw how Russia also impacted energy costs. All of this, we didn't care. We didn't really know about it until it happened. So imagine your business is heavily reliant on inputs from Russia and Ukraine. Because of that war, it means that it has changed the dynamics of the business. Or you are uncertain if you're going to get your goods, transactions become complex because if the road was a straight put road, now you have to look for how do I navigate this? How do I go through this? This problem is so ambiguous. It's looking bigger than I can imagine. I'm not even sure what the exchange rate will be like. I don't know what 1 naira to Ukraine's currency or Russian currency, the ruble will look like. A lot of things just begins to happen. And just when you thought that you have had it all with VUCA, we now see VUCAD. They included 2Ds. We talked about the dynamics and several things that can happen, and then also diversity. We know that the world is changing drastically. Before now, we just used to have two sexes, male and female. Well, you can agree with me that when you try to fill foreign forms, you see the number of genders and you're like confused, like what is going on? And as a person in the workplace, you're told not to discriminate. You have to, find a way to work with everyone. You're looking for how you can harness inclusion in diversity. And you're like, where do I even start from? You have to sort of renew your mind and begin to, accept people for what they say they are or who they say they are. A lot of these changes are happening and you don't want to be left out because the constant thing in life is change. So you cannot say, oh, it's not my business, I'm going to step out of it. No, you can't live in isolation. You can't be in solitary. So you have to find a way to navigate all of this. Now, I just thought that I should mention this term for us as we go through our career, but particularly the scenario planning class that we're going to be having today is for our personal lives. We can find a way to, adapt this for our businesses. It's something that you can read up on afterwards. I hope that that's very useful. And then this quote got me saying, what got you here won't get you there. Now, there are certain strategies that you have used that have successfully brought you to where you are at the moment. But there's a foreseeable future that you have. There are goals that you want to achieve. And the truth is, the strategy that got you here won't get you there. Because before now, you know that towards the end of 2022, that's when we started hearing something about artificial intelligence, really, really coming to the fore with the ubiquity of the mobile phone, and then you're able to now access ChatGPT, and learning has just changed. The way we learn has just changed. The way some of the ways that I consult ChatGPT, I started asking myself, so how was I surviving before this thing came? That shows how very adaptable and agile and nimble that we are, and that we should continually be, not just in certain areas of our lives, but in all or every area of our lives. So what got you here won't get you there. So it means that you need to constantly tweak your strategy, tweak your planning, and this is where scenario planning comes to place. So now let's define scenario planning. Sorry if my slide looks wordy, but I couldn't think of any other best way to put this. And I will not read all of them. I'm sure we can read it afterwards, but I will just mention the one that, really, really speaks to me, where it says that scenario planning is a strategic thinking tool that helps us navigate uncertainties by exploring different future possibilities. Basically, scenario planning helps you to picture realities of your life, the possible things that you can face, and it helps you to come up with responses to successfully face each alternative reality. I remember when COVID came, and some of my friends that worked in aviation called me and said they had lost their jobs. I'm in the financial services, which is an essential service. So I sort of knew that my job was not going to be affected. But, it was a wake up call for me to say, what if it was my sector that was going to be affected? If we're going to have to draw up a list of people that should be fired in this organization, will I be spared? If I would be spared, why would I be spared? Now, this is me having a frank conversation with myself. And that also led me to knowing that I could not have one source of income, right? Because if I get fired, no income. So one question or one scenario is helping you to come up with different responses to say, okay, why will I not be fired? Oh, because I have this skill, because I can do this, I have the possibility of doing this, or I have this certification, or just begin to be real with yourself, because you can lie to everybody, but if you lie to yourself, that's the greatest form of deception. So you do not want to lie to yourself. So that's what scenario planning helps you to do. If you tell yourself that this year I want to save 3 million naira in your plan, and you said, oh, the way I can save this 3 million naira is by constantly saving a portion of my salary. You also want to ask yourself the possibility of, what if I lose my job? Can I still save this 3 million naira? How can I save this 3 million naira? That's when you now begin to tell yourself, okay, I have a skill. Maybe I'm very good with nail art. I think I can start home service nail art. Okay, besides that, I think I can bake. You're beginning to look for possibilities. It's not like you're losing your job, but you're just saying, peradventure, that should happen. They're not going to be left without an emergency fund or anything. It also helps you know, okay, so if I lose my job, if there's a possibility of me losing my job, I should be able to do this. Now, I think last week we had a very interesting news where the CBN sacked the board and the management of some banks in Nigeria. Now, imagine, God forbid, your parent was the MD of that bank and your parents had to lose their job. How do you think it will leave them? I'm not sure anybody step into the new year planning to be fired or to lose their job. But the thing is, life happens, right? Even to the best of us, life can happen. So you want to paint all of this scenario. It doesn't mean that you are pessimistic or or you're overly optimistic or something. You're just trying to guard yourself. So if that is going to happen, you now want to ask yourself, if this one can be fired by CBN, is it that they didn't have great relationship or networks where they should have foreknown that this would happen, and then find a way to, it begins to just help you think broadly how you can live your life better, really. Like the third definition says, it helps you to come up with responses to successfully face whatever reality that will happen to you. Benefits of scenario planning, it prompts an awareness of uncertainty. Scenario planning helps you to know that anything can happen. Anything can happen. We can pray, we can, try to come up with mitigants, putting things in place to say, oh, for example, I work, I don't drive to work yet. I take the public transport. I do not pray to enter one chance. So if I do not enter one chance, what should I do? One, I can maybe strike a deal with a fellow colleague that we work in the same organization to say, please drive me to work. I will pay you a certain sum every month to cover your fuel. Or I can, say I'll be taking Uber. Or I would also say, I'm not going to leave so early. I would always leave by 7 p.m. later because the day is bright, and then those people will not be able to carry out those unscrupulous acts at those times. Now, this is scenario planning, you coming up with different alternatives. And you can do it for anything, even for the minutest of things, even for food or all of that. But now we're trying to put it in our real lives, like in real areas, because sometimes we do these things subconsciously and we don't even know that that is what we're doing. The second benefit says it helps to develop critical insight into assumption and critical drivers of your plan or whatever it is that you intend to do. So there are different types of scenarios that you can, sort of come up with when you're having your plan. So first, you have scenario planning where you plan scenarios in your head. You have something called the base case scenario, which is your current state where you're currently at. Then you have the worst case scenario. So you want to ask yourself, Stella, what is the worst that can happen to you right now? What is the worst that can happen to you? Okay, God forbid you lose your job. Okay, after losing your job, what else? You just want to paint all of those scenarios. That's the worst case, right? And then best case scenario. Best case scenario is if everything should go as planned, if all that I desire, becomes a reality, how is it going to look like? Because as much as you, make all of these plans, things can just happen. So, a case in point for something relatable that has to do with business. So my pastor ventured into a business, and the business was a travel business where you go buses that take passengers from Nigeria to Ghana to neighboring countries. Very lucrative business. He got investors to invest in the business. Everybody was excited. They were getting their return. And, all of a sudden, the federal government places a ban by saying there's border closure. And all your investment just goes. Now, did he foresee that? Did he plan for that? No. But that's what we're saying. Life happens. And for those in the management, you know that there are external factors that we call PESTEL, PESTEL. And PESTEL are factors that are not within your control, they are beyond your control. The P stands for political or policies that can come up from the government that can affect your business. E is an economic factor. Maybe a new monetary policy comes up. If you're in banking, you know how monetary policy has been going up because of inflation. It just makes things a bit difficult out there. Then you have the S, which stands for social life. Like I said earlier, we had just two genders, but now we're seeing the several things coming up, and we have to embrace diversity. We have to embrace inclusion. So now, as a HR personnel, when maybe we're not really faced with that dilemma here in Nigeria, but imagine you're working abroad and you need to face all of these kind of genders in your workplace. Like, it's a whole lot. You have to come up with new policies that embraces everybody's uniqueness. It's not prevalent here yet, but if you are in that space, it's something that you should be looking or planning towards. You have T, where you have technology. In the past, there didn't used to be something called maybe a QR code or an ATM. You know how banking was. You always have to go and queue in the bank. You always have to go to the bank. But now you have mobile apps, you have web apps where you can do your transactions, and it just becomes seamless. So you cannot say, I'm just going to rest on my hours. All my strategies have been great. No, you cannot use yesterday's solution for tomorrow's problems. No, I mean, as the problems come, we have to create new ways. Just like Albert Einstein says that doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is insanity. You're not insane. So you have to do different things. And then in pestle again, the other E stands for environmental factor. We have been so blessed in Nigeria that we don't experience, these tornadoes, this hurricane. But one of the jokes that I have cracked with my colleagues in recent time is that I think our climate has really changed. I don't even understand our climate anymore because January alone, we've had 2 rains. And I'm like, are we in rainy season or in dry season? What exactly are we in? You really can't tell because the climate has changed a lot as a result of man's activities, right? And then the L in pastel stands for legal. As the world is changing, there'll be new legal rules, coming up every day, just to suit the way we live our lives much more than ever. We've seen where those in technology have been calling for the regulation of artificial intelligence because a lot of, just as technology improvement is doing us a lot of good, it can also do a lot of harm. We've seen a lot of deep fake videos where they can make people who did not say stuff say they said that thing. They can clone you and say you said this, and you didn't even say it. You don't even know where it's coming from, right? So, and dangerous information can really cause a lot of havoc. So there's a need for us to, begin to look at the legal implications of some of the activities and some of the innovations that will be coming up during this period, right? So, like we said, types of scenario planning, you have your normal scenario planning, you have your base case scenario, worst case scenario, and then your best case scenario. And I thought that it would be nice for us to have like steps. So for scenario planning, before you even say you're going to scenario planning, first it means that you've had a plan. If you don't have a plan and you haven't created a plan for yourself, you can visit the YouTube channel at the Stellar Life Show, and you can watch our video on planning. It's not too late to still plan. I mean, we have 49 weeks to go, so you can still plan and then begin to brainstorm scenarios to say, what if this happens? What if this doesn't happen? What if this happens? You want to say, okay, so why would this happen? You want to be able to predict trends and forecast based on the things that have always happened. Because we already know what rainy season is. When they ask you what's rainy season, you can say it was the Harmattan season. You can say it because these are normal predictions and trends that have always come. You develop the scenario, your reaction, what your reaction be, you predict your outcome, and then that can help you refine your plan. You can begin to say, okay, I think I should not, this plan that I've created, I should also have a plan B. So you can say scenario planning is having a plan B. Something interesting that I've heard one of the senior people that I admire say is when you're planning, you have a plan A or the original plan. But then when things go wrong, don't sit down there and just sulk. Immediately move to plan B. If it looks like plan B is not working, move to plan C. The alphabet is made up of A to Z. So you have 25 more opportunities if A did not work. So you cannot like that, just make sure you keep going. You know how that quote says that if you are not um just make sure you are moving. If you are not flying, make sure you are walking. If you are not walking, make sure you are crawling. Just make sure you are moving. Make sure you're not standing in one position, right? So I decided to create a scenario using my own personal life and some of my aspirations. And I created 4 scenarios. Now, the first scenario is saying that for my career, I want an accelerated promotion path. And, in this box, you can see, the assumption. So I'm saying that if I continue to work hard the way that I'm working hard and working smart, I anticipate that I would be promoted, right? And I put the period there because we know that a goal without a date is just a wish. It's not even a plan. It means you're just wishing. So I put the period there. You also want to do the same thing for yourself. If you are a career person and if you're a business person as well, you want to put something there, maybe increase in my sales or whatever target. So how do I even develop this assumption that I've put in place? or I'm going to actively engage in strategic projects in my organization. I'll try to gain visibility so that I can position myself as a high potential leader. And in the end, if I do all of this well, the outcome is that I'll get a promotion, that would, lead me to the path that I desire sooner. Now, that is one aspect of my life because you know that we are humans and we don't just have one aspect of our life. You can't just say, oh, I'm planning for my career life. I want my career to go well. Your career cannot go well, and then your relationships with your family is suffering, or your finance is suffering, or your health is suffering. You have to find a way to balance everything, to carry everything alongside. So I'm looking at scenario two where I'm saying I want to increase or improve on my leadership. So the assumption here is that I'm going to leverage my diverse skill set and experiences to carve a niche for myself within my organization. Because we had a class on leadership, RAIN, if you attended our class. If you did not attend it, you can, catch the replay. And, when we're talking about RAIN, we said that whenever you start in an organization, you're first starting as an individual. You're starting as just a team member, but as you grow, you become a team leader, you become a manager, you eventually become C-suite, right? So you have to plan for that leadership role. You have to, know, okay, if I want to be a leader in this organization, what does it take? And for the assumption of, leveraging my experiences, the development that what I need to do here is I need to go for additional certifications, if I need to train so that I can position myself as a subject matter expert. And if I do all of this, the outcome definitely is that I would have or assume a leadership role that aligns with my diverse skill sets and experiences. I'm not going to read all of this scenario, but I'm going to end with scenario three. One of my goals for my career is I want to be at the C-suite level at a certain age. So for the C-suite levels that I am interested in, COO, CMO, CEO, that's like if you sort of look at everything that I sort of do, the experiences that I'm gathering, the relationships that I'm keeping, the places that I want to be in, these are the things that I am positioning myself for. So for some people, they're like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? It's because my goal cannot be your goal, except you also want to toe the line where I'm towing. Then you cannot say, Stella, any exam you write, I want to write. So I'm actively pursuing the necessary skills and knowledge that is suited for C-suite in terms of CEO, CMO, and CEO. So how do I develop this? I will engage in executive education programs, maybe a course, a accelerated course on Harvard or maybe Stanford or MIT on strategic leadership. I want to join associations, maybe the employee club, all of those places where the people that are already living the life I want to live or my mentors are already at, so that I can also begin to act like C-suite, even though I'm not there now. You're already walking the talk. You already have the charisma and the character that suits that role. So if I'm able to do this very well, it means that I've positioned myself. And when they're saying, oh, we're looking for somebody to come on board C-suite, they're not looking for somebody that sometimes there's no opportunity to say, want to start training or prepping the person. It is person who is already acting like it already, that they would give the role, on seamlessly because it's something that you've already been working. Scenario four is industry influencer and educator. If there's going to be a scenario five, the scenario five is going to be entrepreneurship. I want to have my own private practice. I want to have my own venture. Now, just as I've created this for myself, you all for myself, you also want to think and say, and so this is real. Like this is me being vulnerable and really showing you my dreams, my desires that I really want to achieve. I don't know what yours is, but you can just sit down with yourself this evening before tomorrow work starts, and we just go into the hustle and the bustle and really, craft this out for yourself. Because I also found out to craft this out because I'm going to have this class, right? So it's important that catch the replay, share it with a friend. If you think that this is useful stuff that you can use to grow, I think it's something that you should don't just be a hearer, yeah, be a doer. I mean, actions are better than intentions. Don't say I wish or something and all of that. So what are giving an example of best and worst case scenario so that you understand what exactly we're even talking about. So currently, the season, maybe just have to remove it because I'm just 5 years in banking this year. So Stella is a seasoned banking officer with experience in investor and media relations, consumer and business product marketing. And I have previously worked in finance, where I did management, performance reporting, data analytics strategy, fintech, and digital banking. So this is me. Like, this is a summary of everything that I've done in my career in these lines, what you're reading. So you want to do a current. So, this is for our career. You can also do it for your health. Current state. Stella is healthy. She weighs 53 kg. She does not have acne problem, or she has overweight problem. Whatever it is, be factual with yourself so that you even know what the best case would be and what the worst case would be. So here, my best case scenario, I'm anticipating that I want to secure a promotion to the next level. So my assumption is, if I excel well, I surpass expectations, is it possible I get an exceptional promotion? It's possible. So what do I need to do? Like I said earlier, engage in strategic projects, be visible, get a sponsor who can speak for me in rooms where I would typically not be, someone who has visibility or access to my work. I know that I'm doing a great job. You want to have all of that. And what will the outcome be? The outcome will be that, oh, when it's time for promotion, Stella's name is mentioned and Stella is promoted. Congratulations. Worst case scenario, unforeseen challenges. We've seen what has been happening with different banks. What if the CBN decides to say something about the bank that Stella works for, and then it sort of affects profitability, and management comes to say, oh, this year we are sorry, we cannot promote anyone because of profitability, and all, we'll promote next year. Or just the way Stella is also planning to improve in her career and be better, other people too that are working with her to want to be better. So the competition is now intense, and there's a limited slot, and they're saying everybody cannot be promoted. So we have to promote some people. So how will Stella ensure that she's in that some people? Does she need certain skill? Does she need a mentor? Does she need a higher mentor? What does she need to do to ensure? So this is like you thinking, what's the worst that will happen? Because of course, Stella would feel bad if she's not promoted, because in the plan, that is what was in the plan. But worst case scenario, it didn't happen. But thank God you still have a job. What if you lost your job? What if the organization folded up? What if you were fired? What if you were retrenched? If your promotion was delayed, what are you going to do? That is you coming up with worst case scenario, so that when it happens, you are not head over heels or confused, and then looks like the whole world is falling because you are not promoted, right? So these are some of the things that you can do in terms of best case and worst case scenario when you are doing your scenario planning. The next is there are some things that are independent and dependent scenarios, and that is where I talked about external factors, where we mentioned earlier, pestle, some things are not in your control, right? And then some things that might not even be related to what you are doing, and some things might be related or dependent on what you are doing. So Stella is saying, oh, she wants to experience growth, right? Because say you want to be promoted, it's all under saying, I want to have a growth this year. And part of that growth is saying, I want to have increased income. I want to be maybe a thought leader. I just want to be a leader. You can put it under different things. So what is the independent scenario here? So Stella can be saying, okay, so besides even having a job, what if I want to have a business, my entrepreneurial pursuit? Okay, my smoothie that I've just been making it for myself and people around me. What if I want to take it serious? What if I want to create something away from the organization, such that if I don't even get promoted, I would also gain fulfillment because I have started something of my own. So the assumption here is that I decide to pursue an entrepreneurial venture, independent of my current role in the banking sector. So how do I develop this passion? I tell myself, okay, let me conduct a market research to say, who are the top 10 or top 5 players in this smoothie industry? What are their niche? Like, what are they known for? What are they good at? Why do they stand out? How can I stand out? Can I leverage my relationship in the bank to get customers? I begin to look at all of that. And then the outcome is, when I launched my business, I already have off-takers because It's something that I've planned. I've thought about it. Oh, I don't necessarily have to go and look for customers outside. I can start with my colleagues at the office. I can begin to expand from one department to the other, from one floor to another floor. I become recognized. People start referring me and all of that. That's an independent scenario saying, okay, this is Stella going into entrepreneurship. But then a dependent scenario is saying, I want to achieve growth, but the growth I want to achieve is still on my career line. So the assumption in Stella's career trajectory is directly influenced by my organization's policy and performance metrics. If my organization say they're not promoting, no matter how hard I work, if I work with my head, it's a policy. And if you know what policies are, policies don't change easily. It takes protocol and all of that. So this is a dependent scenario. My growth is dependent on somebody, right? But the entrepreneurship one is not dependent on anybody. It is in my hands. If I decide to do it, oh well and good. If I don't decide to do it, it's still in my hands, right? So the development is sales active participation in strategic project that aligns with organizational goals. Even if I receive a positive performance and reviews. If the organization says they are not promoting, then they are not promoting. But if the organization says they are promoting and I do all that I have to do, then I can anticipate that I should be promoted. So my promotion is dependent on how I'm able to navigate projects or carry out activities that aligns with the organization's goals. So like we said, we've seen the base case, we've seen the best scenario, best case, we've seen the worst case. Now we have seen the independent cases and the dependent cases, right? And like I said, it's not just for your career that you can do this, because most of the examples we've had here is for career. You can also look at it in the area of your business. You can also look at it for your spirituality. Okay, so how can I attain spiritual growth? Okay, I know that in my church, the theme for the year is kingdom discipleship. Okay, I know that most of the things we'll be learning is discipleship, but I'm also interested in understanding honor. Okay, where can I get messages on honor? How can I learn about honor? Yeah, oh, I think Apostle Joseph Selman has something on it. It's a plan B. It's all in a bid to achieve growth. We're also talking about finance. Okay, I've been saving in maybe treasury bills. I want to try something different. I want to, change the structure of my portfolio. Scenario planning for your education and personal development. Or should I do part-time? Is there an online program I can do? Do I have to japa? You want to consider all of these factors. Scenario planning, same thing for your career or your business, also for your health. Okay, I cannot go to the gym because it's far from my house and all of that. Okay, so what can I do? Okay, just to ensure that I exercise every day. Maybe I can use the stairs in my organization. I work on the 8th floor. Maybe I should take the stairs, up and down. And, it's sort of makeup for me not going to the gym during the day. You want to look at your relationships. You want to do a social audit. These people that have been putting around my life, am I getting better? Are they pulling me down? Are they encouraging me? Are they telling me I can do it? Or when I tell them, they just laugh at me and say, you are such a dreamer, Joseph the dreamer, and all of that. Nobody's encouraging you. You want to, check all of these areas of your life where you can do scenario planning. It's not hard. It's not something that you cannot do, right? These are unprecedented events that have happened in the world. The pandemic, COVID, nobody saw it coming. Recession, it comes every now and then. Whether you know it or not, this year there's going to be a recession. As much as we say, oh, this economy, this administration will favor me, it will only favor you if you plan very well. So just know some of the things that will be going on and find a way to, mitigate against all of these things. War, you have Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Hamas. You don't know where next it will be. In Nigeria, as much as we're in the south and it looks like everything is fine, you don't want people in the northeast and in all of those areas what they're going through. They're going through a lot. So we're in the same country, but it looks like our realities are totally different, right? We also saw currency rate liberalization last year. So as of May, dollar was 461 naira. And by June, it was already 769 naira. And now it's over 1,000 naira. You know what it is? I mean, so drastic, so fast. And don't think it's going to stop there. It will keep going. So whatever you're going to do with this information that you just said, do it. Other countries, we've seen them have hurricane, tornadoes, earthquake, flood, fire. You just want to mitigate against these things. And there are ways to mitigate against it. If you know that you're prone to environmental hazards such as this, you know that if you live in areas like this, you cannot joke with your insurance. For currency rates liberalization, if your business are always importing, you have to buy from abroad. You need to start understanding hedging. You need to start understanding arbitrage. All of these things, you need to begin to understand them. What kind of agreements, what trade documents should you sign? What treaties should you have? Ways to do things cheaper, better. You want to find out. If you have business partners or suppliers in Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Hamas, you need to start looking for alternatives. Am I going to backward integrate? You want to look at all of those things because that's the only way that honestly you can get better. And the truth is, sometimes no matter how much you plan and do all of this scenario planning, what will happen will still happen. Because I don't think anyone has ever said that anything like COVID would happen. So even though you plan to say there's going to be a health hazard, because the truth is the America had a foresight that something of this nature was going to happen, but this was hinted by futurists. So there are people they call the futurists. They gave a hint to the president then, George Bush, to tell him, oh, we foresee that this kind of thing is going to happen and we think you should put things in place. I know they created a facility, they got scientists and everyone just to prepare, and it never happened. But they did not shut it down. So when COVID came, some of the researches that had happened at that time was able to help. And we have to give credit or honor to whom honor is due, because scenario planning, or something we can also call strategic foresight, actually really became a big thing from Shell. So in 1973, the background of scenario planning was Shell foresaw that there was going to be an oil incident that can affect their business. And they thought about this. What can we do to ensure that our business is not affected? How can we become better? So it was their scientists and their planners that came up with solutions on how things can be better. And then after they were able to successfully navigate through that phase of their business, they were able to give scenario planning, to universities to say, you should begin to teach this as a course in the business school because this is real, right? So the truth is you should not get tired of planning, all right? Keep planning and keep working out your plan. So in conclusion, I want to say that scenario planning is strategic foresight. And scenario planning for me is also another name for wisdom. It helps you to deal with pleasure and pain, whichever way. Because when you do scenario planning, if the best case happens, it's pleasure. If the worst case happens, it's pain, but you're able to deal with it. And I want to urge you not to be wise after the event. Why not be wise now before the event? And real wisdom builds and cross bridges even before the scenario even happens. And problems and opportunities are the same thing. It depends on your perspective, depends on your perception, depends on how you want to see it. And that's why I want to encourage you to adopt the Boy Scouts motto, which says, be prepared, always live prepared. And a movie recommendation that I want to urge each and every one of us to watch is the movie Blackberry. When the CEO of the BlackBerry company was watching Steve Jobs introduce the first iPhone, it was like, oh, it's not something serious. It's not something you should take serious. But today, you can tell me that the iPhone is such a big deal and something that should be taken seriously. So where is the BlackBerry now? And we've also seen a popular video of the Nokia CEO saying, we didn't do anything, but they didn't do anything, but something happened. So you cannot sit down on the fence. You always have to, strive to work hard to ensure that you are not left out. So you are either innovating or improving your life, or you die. So which do you want to be? So that's what scenario planning and planning in general is going to help you do. What will be will not be. You have to work it out. So I don't know what plans you've had for the year, but it's very possible with planning and scenario planning. And with this, we've come to the end of the class. You can connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Stella Ulichwe, on Instagram or TikTok at Everything Stella. And I do hope that we got value for this class. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I trust we've had an amazing time. Please, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to drop your questions and I would be happy to answer. Thank you for joining today's class.